Nice to see you, mate. Just got a few questions for you. What was your thoughts on another season being brought to a premature end?
Obviously, I was disappointed, but it was inevitable in many respects. We saw once the infection was starting to go up in the autumn, we could see where the movement was going. I think the Northern League suspended the league, and we allowed fans in that stage. They suspended the league with 150 fans. They suspended it because clubhouses weren't allowed to open. So we were suspended before the end of the Vars game. Then the leagues, the FA officially suspended everything. So it was only one way it's going to go. And the disappointment comes from the fact we're really starting to click into gear. I think the management team arrived at a system where we're difficult to beat. We weren't conceding any goals. We were scoring goals. And in a good run of form. And what was it, 10, 11 games we've gone unbeaten?
10, I think it was 10, David. I'm not sure, I think, 10.
But if the FA, the Alliance Committee, had arrived with something a little bit more innovative and could have found a way where they could complete last season, next season, I think Shildon will be thereabouts. So that's where the disappointment comes from.
Did you face any challenges in implementing the COVID safety protocols during the season?
Yeah, it was daunting. It was overwhelming, if I'm honest. We got lots of directions, but no real help or guidance, because no one would take liability for whatever we come up with. So we got directions from the FA, directions from the Northern League. So we formed a working group. We were really fortunate that Michael Wilson, who videos the game, his background was doing infection control, pandemic risk management in hospitals. So we acquired his services gladly, and we gathered every Friday. Me, Michael, Diane, Paul, and Carolyn. We gathered every Friday at the football club, formed a little working group, and arrived at what tasks we need to do, put our policies out there, and monitored how we went on. So after you got over the initial overwhelmment, it was quite not easy, but it was a process we've got to grips with, and I thought we did pretty well in the end.
Do you think the league and government provided you with enough help?
I think the league's done what it can. I think a lot of the decisions bypass the league, the government decisions or FA national decisions. The government's helped with the grants. We've applied for grants, and we were fortunate to be awarded grants from Durham County Council, but that comes via the government eventually. And because we run the club professionally as we can, and the players on proper contracts, we've taken advantage of the furlough scheme. So, and that meant a lot to me, to be able to pay the players throughout this second lockdown period. As for the FA, the jury's out on that. I'm really disappointed with the FA's contribution to the Vars. I think they've given us £100, which is derisory.
Nothing, is it?
Nothing.
Yeah, they may as well have just given you nothing, and it goes the same distance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the cost of playing in a Vars match with no fans? I mean, the round prize money in no way covers the cost, does it?
You're right. It doesn't cover the cost if you win, and it certainly doesn't cover the cost if you lose. The costs run into thousands of pounds, Wilf, to stage a game. The cost of Warrington's travel. I've got to take the lads off furlough to play the game, so the cost of the wages. We've got the referees and players, the referees' expenses. So that's why we've tried to mitigate that loss by doing the live stream, and hopefully more and more people take that up. Even if you can't make it, just take it up, because all you're doing is helping the football club. But yeah, and your reward is to lose more money for the next round. But there's no way I'd pull out the Vars. There's no way in the world I'd pull out the Vars. I'd walk away from Shildon before I'd pull out the Vars.
How much work goes into staging games with no fans?
What, home or away?
Well, both. We've got the travelling to away, which a lot of work goes into, doesn't it?
This is the first time I've staged a home game in the Vars with the current restrictions. So there's work goes into setting up the streaming. Michael's had to buy some additional equipment, some additional mics to make it more effective. We've obviously had to work out how we can charge people to pay. A lot of work for marketing, putting the adverts out. So there's work goes into that. The players can have a drink after the game outdoors, but they can't use the bar facilities. Their officials, they're travelling from Warrington, not West Auckland, so we feel it's only courtesy to put something on for them. So we're organising little takeaway bags for them, little food parcels, so they've got some food on the bus going home and food during the game. So all those little things. Away is pretty easy. We've got a good relationship with the bus company. We'll have to book a bigger bus because the COVID restrictions to accommodate all the people. You put on your masks. We work out the itinerary before we go down. So we work out where we're going to stop. So the lads can have a little bit of walk about, maybe go to Costa, and then we arrive at the ground pretty early to acclimatise with the new surroundings. So, yeah, more work to do, but not too much.
How are the preparations? How do they compare for home and away games in the Vars?
I guess there's not much difference between the two. It's easier when you're at home. You know, the players, I think Don Curl said in his interview, I'm just a mile down the road and Dean's just up the road. And the players I think the furthest the players come from South Tyneside and Middlesbrough. They know the surroundings, they know the pitch, they feel at home. There's no fans, of course, which is a travesty, but they feel at home with the surroundings. Away, it's just getting yourself organised. The nightmare will be if we get drawn away in the next round. Not a nightmare, because that means we've progressed. We'll get drawn away, you've got to book a bus. You've got to book that bus. You really ought to, so we'll be on enterprise travel on the Sunday morning or Saturday night sending emails. You book the bus, you plan your itinerary, and you just go down there.
Had some cracking away wins in the Vars this season, mate. What's been your highlight of the season?
Hopefully the highlights yet to come, Wilf. Hopefully we'll progress. Hopefully we'll go to Wembley, but that's a long way off. But yes, the Vars has been a highlight, the Vars run. Obviously everyone remembers Stockton because that's the last competitive game we played. To beat Stockton, who are a fantastic team with some very good players on their pitch, which is an advantage, a 3G pitch, they play on all the time. I know we train on one, but certainly an advantage. That was a tremendous performance. I think there's only the players and the management team and probably a couple of us close to us give us a chance, give us any chance to beat Stockton. So that was fantastic. The trips to Bootle and Hallam were very good experiences as well against some good sides. We've got some good results. But let's not forget the result away at Sunderland RCA in the preliminary round. 2-0 down at half time.
2-0 down, yeah.
And the lads showed tremendous character and pulled that round to progress, and then we were on the further journey. But I think in the league, I think Concert away was a defining moment. Played another good side and comprehensively beat them. But I'm from Shildon at the end of the day, so the derby matches always mean a lot to me. So the result against Bishop Auckland was always pleasing, but I guess we expected to beat Bishop because they're struggling this season. But the result what sticks in my mind is the result against West Auckland, because on paper, West Auckland can beat anyone in this league. And I think West Auckland could go very far in the FA Vars competition. They've got some fantastic players, but on the day, we comprehensively beat them, and that was a special moment.
Do you think the club are in a strong position to push for promotion next season?
We were promoted 2 seasons ago. So, but until the powers that be decreed it null and void, which I can't get my head around, but you've got to move on. I think we've improved the squad since then. We've got 2 big players coming back. One's sort of in the frame now, Billy and Alex White, who will be a fantastic player for Shildon if he comes back fit, and the signs are looking good. He's fully committed to getting fit. So there's 2 big players. We don't concede goals, and we've got 3 out of arguably the best strikers in the Northern League. So that augurs well. And we've got what I believe is the best midfield player in the Northern League in Shea Little. So I think we should be, and if we add to the squad, which we will do, if quality players come available, I think we'll be in a good position to push for promotion.
Are all the players contracted for next season, or have those that aren't contracted agreed to sign again?
So we're in a fortunate position where most of the squad are either under contract or under option. That gives us a good platform to build from. But there's only 3 players, or was 3 players. Shea Little signed a 2-year contract, which I'm absolutely delighted about, subject to FA clearance, which will go in when the time's right. But Shea's committed to the club for another 2 years. And that he's a vital building block. We're going to build a side around Shea. And we've got 2 others who I won't name who've had discussion with the manager, and they've expressed a willingness to sign again. So it's just about me getting around to seeing them. So we've got the full complement of the squad, I guess.
Just another one. I don't know if you've seen, but recently the government have said that fans aren't allowed in till May the 17th, but people are allowed to go to the park and go around and do whatnot. Just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
I think the government have got a difficult job to do, but I struggle with that. I think, well, there's 1,000 people are allowed indoors at the Crucible to watch the snooker. So how could you not have 500 at Dean Street in the open air? You know, but yeah, they've got a difficult job to do, and I guess there'll always be some people who feel they've been badly done to. But yeah, it seems strange.
How much time do you give our football club, David? Like behind the scenes, is it like a full-time job?
It can be. There's certain periods of the year where it feels it's really full on. Like when the end of the season is a busy time for me, because I'm either renewing sponsorship deals with our platinum sponsors or trying to attract new sponsors to the football club. I've got negotiations with the players. We're trying to sign other players. We do kit deals if that kit deal's up for grabs. So there's a lot going on. But I've got to say, it's not just me. Di, my wife, she I couldn't do this without her. She does more than me. She does the treasury role. She does the wages. She sorts out all the invoices. She deals with the bar stock. She's a lot, and the 2 of us probably do on average 2 to 3 days a week. But there's also what I term a core team of volunteers, yourself included, Wilf, who take the load off. Yourself, Paul, Carolyn, Sue, Norman. Couldn't do it for you. You know, because you operate the club day to day, in my opinion. So it's a team effort, really.
And when you and Di think all is done, how do you switch off? Can you switch off?
I can switch off. She says I can't. You know, I sold my business 3 years ago, and I tried retirement, and I just got bored. So I'm developing another business. I've got other business interests with development companies. So I've got that going on in the background. And Shildon's my switch off, believe it or not. So when I'm busy on other stuff, I think Martin and Bobby, they breathe a sigh of relief because I'm not phoning them all the time.
We've been in the news the last couple of days, David, being shortlisted by the VAS sponsors Build Base to win a cash prize. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I applied on spec, really. We got the application form, and I thought I've always wanted to do something with that wasteland as you come in, as you enter the ground, the wasteland on the right hand side. I thought it's just right for some sort of development, and particularly with this pandemic, where it's to me that's emphasised the need for outdoor space. So what we if we're successful, we'll create a community garden. Well, but it'll be a multifunctional community garden. So it'll have an informal five-a-side pitch on 3G, where toddlers can play, over the over 60s. Other groups can come and use it. We'll have picnic tables around the outside. It can enhance our holiday courses for the deprived kids from the deprived wards of the town. We do holiday courses twice a year for them. There's another space for them to eat their lunch or just play a game. We're going to do homework hubs with King James School for kids to catch up on the school studies through COVID. So we extend the outdoor Wi-Fi provision so they can do that in an informal learning zone. And it's just a place really where people can come in, have a cup of tea in a socially distant environment, and just have a chat and feel part of something. And obviously it provides another. It reinforces our match day experience, and it takes the pressure off the bar as well. But yes, it benefits the club. It's more about the wider community.
And before I let you go, I've just got a couple of questions about your own career as a footballer.
Right.
Is it true you played for every pub team in Shildon?
Not quite. I turned down Mally Parsley. I turned down the offer of being a window cleaner and free fish and chips on a Friday. If I signed for the commercial, I turned that down. I was tempted, mind. The fish and chips were nice. I didn't have to watch me diet. In those days. But no, I signed for the Jubilee when I was 15-year-old. I was still at school. So that was quite a surreal experience, because I'd play football, I'd go to the pub after the game, I'd go to school on the Monday morning. But my football career, I was playing. I was on trial. I was on trial with Sun a little bit, and I got released. It was before academies. The cut-off point was 14 to be an associate schoolboy. They didn't take me on. 16 to be apprentice. So I was in Darlington from 15 to 16. They didn't take me on. So when you don't get in Darlington at 16-year-old, you realise you're not going to be a professional. And I wasn't big enough either. I was a goalkeeper. So I went from school. I went for. I played for Shildon BR Juniors under 18s. I was playing 3 years below my age group. And I hated to admit this, I played for West Auckland Juniors. Went from Shildon to West Auckland Juniors, yeah.
I played for them, Dev.
Did you?
But probably before you did, mind.
Had a really good side with Darren Jackson and Paul Arnott, who played for Bishop, and Darren played for West Auckland. My big mate was Craig Warburton, who played for Crook and West Auckland, and we were a bounce on the doors, and I still see him from time to time. And then I went to Shildon, straight from junior football to Shildon. Played for a bloke called Ronnie Heslin and did all the pre-season. Played against Newcastle and Darlington. We beat Darlington on that night. I remember it was a Monday night, and their forward line was David Speedy, who played for Chelsea. And a bloke called Gary McDonald, who was at Middlesbrough. His sons.
Remember him, yeah?
Josh McDonald, who was Halifax and now at Hartlepool. We beat them, and Ronnie said to me on the Monday night after the game, he said, "You're inside on Saturday." It was before mobile phones. But at the time, Shildon United had gathered a really good squad, and the Auckland District League was a really good league, and they wanted me to play for them. And they were putting the bite on, so I gave in. Because Ronnie didn't ring me. And the Thursday night, Ronnie didn't ring me. I just committed to the Shildon United, and then he rang me. As soon as I committed, he rang me. It was a difficult conversation. He said, "Son, you've thrown away a chance of a lifetime." And I regretted that. So I played for Shildon United for a couple of years, and then I went to Wellington in the Northern League. Got £6 a game. It's about 30 quid in today's money. Got a £2 win bonus. Didn't see many of those, mind. They had teacups. We had at half time, John Hope was the manager, another Shildon lad. He was a goalkeeper. Mad as a hat he was. So he used to gather us round at 12 o'clock, watch football focus together, and have some lunch in the clubhouse. He had to wear a suit and a tie. He was for track suits, and then he had your trainer. I was absolutely shattered before the game. Anyway, I dislocated my shoulder, and I went to Nunthorpe in the Teesside League. Really enjoyed that. I was on more money at Nunthorpe than Willington with travelling expenses. And then there's a bloke called Peter Creamer, who was the sportsman in, was manager of Evenwood.
He was, yeah.
Peter wanted me to go to play for Evenwood, and he's putting the bike on to go to Evenwood. And I got a phone call out of the blue from John Hope, because I was still in Nunthorpe. And John said, David, he said, we've had a lot of interest from you. I've turned down offers from Dartland, Cleveland, Bridge, and Evenwood, and another Northern League. I can't remember them. I've turned them down. I've asked silly money for you. Yeah, I want you back in the squad. I said, all right, John, thanks for that. Nice to be wanted. Just out of interest, what's the definition of silly money? And bear in mind, Peter Cream was putting the bite on me, something rotten to play for Evenwood. He said 50 quid and 3 tracksuits. Peter put the phone down. That was it. I wasn't worth 50 quid and 3 tracksuits. That probably said what? I was never going to make it in the Northern League, so I just retired to Sunday football and played guest appearance for Shildon United. Plus my career was taken off. I enjoyed it.
Just before we let you go, mate, I'm just going to grass him up. Paul Mully told me to ask you this one.
Right.
Is it right that as a staunch Newcastle fan, you played for Shildon Sunderland Supporters Club FC?
I am. I'm still on counselling for that, though, Wilf. But I was in goal, so I didn't have to wear the red and white stripes.
That's a good point, David. Yeah.
Yeah, and our manager was a season ticket holder at Newcastle, a bloke called Brian Neal, who you probably know.
I've met him,
yeah, Brian was our manager. So we managed to get the red and white stripes converted. We couldn't get away with black and white because Peter Sixsmith would turn his grave if he were. He'd be absolutely appalled, and Paul Mully wouldn't have been too happy either. But we managed to get away with the Blackburn Rovers home strip. I always refer to it up there for the Hatworth, not Shildon Sunderland supporters.
Well, thanks very much for that, mate. I think you might have beaten Aidan Harewood here for time.
Oh dear, I'll get some sleep.
You pushed him. Thanks very much for that, David.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Hello there. Just a reminder, the virtual tickets are on sale for the Shildon Warrington Rannans game on the 17th of April. Details in the description below. Remember, any ticket sales would be a great benefit to both clubs. You can also go to our website and Twitter for more details.